Open enrollment is just around the corner. Typically, it's late October timeframe, and so I wanted to spend the next several weeks going over different benefits that Disney cast members have access to through their employee benefits, and starting today with why you need an attorney. First, a short story. I was talking with a gentleman. This is many years back, and he was a professor and a doctor, very bright man, older man in his mid 80s. And he had come to me as a prospective client, wanted to get some help with really just a small piece of his overall financial situation. And whenever I meet with somebody, though, I like to know what's the full picture. Let's talk about all the different moving parts and pieces because one component may impact another. And in my conversation, I quickly uncovered that he had not really gone through any sort of estate planning or incapacity planning, and really was reluctant around that conversation. And so I was digging into that a little bit more, and he was kind of a gruff man and kind of shut me down almost immediately. But I built a relationship with him, had several meetings, and over time I learned that he actually had a very complicated family situation where he was married but had separated from that woman and now was living with his former ex-wife, and had has family and children from both marriages, and he had a fairly substantial net worth as well. And he just didn't want to address the complexity of the situation. And now this guy was in his 80s, and I was trying to tell him with a sense of urgency, hey, you've got to really get this stuff in order because you never know. And he said, oh, I'm fine, I'm healthy, I've got time to figure it out. And that was the last meeting that I had with him. Maybe a few months later, I got a phone call, and it was his daughter, and something had happened. He fell down the staircase, injured, hospital, and then eventually passed away. And his entire situation, financial situation, was a mess. Had nothing in order, didn't have appropriate beneficiaries, didn't have a trust, didn't have will, all of these things that are really somewhat basics. He just neglected to do because he thought he had time, and unfortunately left his family with a mess. And so I share that story because as a Disney cast member, maybe you're not a Disney cast member, and this probably applies to you, but a Disney cast member in particular, one of the keys is courtesy, and we want to do things, be courteous and think of others when it comes to how you do business and how you work. And when it comes to our financial lives, one way that we can be courteous is by having the appropriate plans in place should something happen to us, whether you die or become incapacitated. And so one of the great benefits that Disney offers is a legal plan. And so this is why you need an attorney, because this legal plan provides you documents that otherwise would cost potentially thousands of dollars or more for really a nominal weekly fee out of your paycheck. And so, yes, some of the legal services provide more than just your regular estate planning documents, but that is the most value that I've seen people use it for. There's some people, folks will use it for traffic tickets and contract reviews and things of that nature. Yeah, that's all great and very valuable too. But from a financial planner standpoint, having the appropriate legal documents in place is paramount. And so whenever we think about the legal services, these are some of the documents that are provided in that legal plan. And so the first one is is the will. So last will and testament, many people know about or have heard about a last will and testament. And that is basically what you want to happen upon your passing. Where do you want your assets to go? Some people think, well, maybe I don't have a ton of assets. You just got some retirement plans. The house is pretty simple. They forget about life insurance. They forget about their cars, personal effects, all of that. So having a will is great. The downside of a will is that those assets, if it goes by way of will, goes through probate. Probate can be a challenging process for beneficiaries. And so a lot of folks will then use what's called a trust, a revocable trust or a living trust. Sometimes people think about a trust and they think, well, I've got to be a multi gazillionaire to be able to use it. But trusts really are not for tax purposes. There are trusts for tax purposes, but you do have to have a very high net worth, $10, $20 million or more from the tax angle. But from a ease of transfer of ownership angle, trusts really simplify things because it keeps your assets out of probate. And so setting up a trust is often a good thing to avoid probate. It also can protect those assets too from potential predators down the road. Of course, it also, you have to make sure all of your assets are lined up with that appropriately. In addition to the will and trust, it also includes the power of attorney document, durable power of attorney, which basically allows somebody to be able to make financial decisions on your behalf. A lot of times people think they're married, their spouse is going to have full access to be able to make decisions on their behalf. That's not the case. At least in the state of Florida, a power of attorney needs to be in place so that your spouse can make financial decisions on your behalf, or somebody else if you're not married or you don't have a spouse or partner, somebody that can act on your behalf in case you were to become incapacitated, because you want that done before that event happens, because if you wait till after, then you're again going into that probate process, which can be onerous and troublesome. And then we also generally are looking at a living will, which basically makes the decisions of how long do you want to be kept alive. In Florida, there was that famous case, the Terri Schiavo case of whether or not to keep her artificially alive. And so some determinations along those lines, and healthcare surrogate as well. So somebody that's able to make healthcare decisions for you. Yes, your spouse probably can, but again, it's better to have those documents in place. And so when we think about all of these documents, the Disney legal plan offers all of these really at no additional cost, other than what your weekly amount is out of your paycheck for enrolling into the benefits. So it's a really great deal, and something that I think a lot of folks should really consider looking at. Of course, I'm no attorney, and so you want to talk to an attorney about all of these documents. I'm not giving you any specific legal advice, but just walking you through what those documents are and some of the pros and cons to them. My name is Kyle Newell. I'm a financial planner here in Winter Garden. I serve the greater Orlando area in person, but I also serve clients across the country virtually. And I like to tie all the pieces together, try to keep things simple. And so if you do have questions, drop a comment, shoot me a message, or send me an email. My website is newellwm.com, Newell, NEWELLWM.com. You can check that out for full disclosures. But again, of course, this video is just educational, no specific advice, because I don't know your situation, but would be happy to help and connect. And no cost for initial meeting, just to get an idea of where you are and what you're trying to accomplish and see how I can help there. So I hope you found value in this video today. And if you have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you real soon.